All right, I am back with another birth story. This is the birth of our second child, Benjamin. His story is pretty similar to Lila's birth story, so if you haven't watched hers, you can go back and check that out. But they have some differences, so I'll get into it. Starting out, his pregnancy was rough. I started having really severe pubic symphysis and just like pelvic floor pain in general at like 21 weeks. It was bad, and it just got progressively worse. I did get into pelvic floor physical therapy, which I highly recommend. At the very first sign of any sort of pelvic floor dysfunction, go. Honestly, I would recommend anyone who's pregnant, or if you've had a baby, go to pelvic floor PT, because it changed my life. So anyway, I didn't get into that until about 28, 29 weeks. I felt better at the end of pregnancy than I did at that point when I started pelvic floor PT. So still was in a lot of pain, but it was better. It was much better. So yeah, I would highly recommend that. Anyway, at my 38-week appointment, once again, she offered me a membrane sweep, and I was very ready for him to come out. And I said, let's do it. I was kind of banking on it. I had my mom come because she's about 45, 50 minutes away. And I was very worried that I was going to have the baby before we made it to the hospital. Lila's whole labor took about 3.5 hours. And I was like, this baby's going to come faster. and I need someone here when that happens to take care of Lila, so that I don't have this baby at home unexpectedly, or in the car. I was like, if he's born in the car, his name's going to be Carson. And I had like a little bulb syringe and little baby hats like ready to go in case I gave birth in the car, because I was so convinced that he was going to come so fast, and I wanted to be prepared. So he did not come in the car. but yeah, and he was very low. I had a lot of that like pressure very low in my pelvic floor the whole time, so I was just convinced like he was gonna come right out at any moment. So I was also very convinced that the membrane sweep would work. So we did that on a Thursday. My mom came that night after she got off work, and then we had some cramps that night, kind of typical after a membrane sweep, but nothing, they fizzled out when I went to bed. Nothing came of it. The whole next day we were like trying to get things going again. It was winter time, and so we were like walking around Target a bunch, and like walking would like get basically really strong Braxton Hicks going for me, but then as soon as I stopped, they were gone. And they were not like painful, they were just kind of like uncomfortable and tight. So I'd get really tight, but yeah. So, Friday goes by, and both my mom and my husband are like, yeah, it's probably not coming tonight, maybe tomorrow, we'll see, and feeling a little bit discouraged. And so I went and took a shower after we got Lila down for bed at like 7:20. And I had a lot of mucus plug come out at that point. And then I had a contraction. It wasn't like a painful one still, but it was a really strong tightening, and I could like feel him slide down. And I was like, ooh, I think things might start happening. So around 8:30, I think, is when we kind of settled down. We were gonna watch some TV and just kind of relax, and so I did that, and that's when things picked up. And so that kind of is the theme for me, is once I like settle down for the night and relax, that's when labor starts. So they were coming like every 5 to 6 minutes, like stronger than normal. So yeah, they were I was like, I would be 100% surprised if these fizzle out and he doesn't come tonight, because they were increasing. By like 9:20, they were coming pretty quickly, like every 2 to 3 minutes. And so I was like, we probably should get to the hospital. Like, we should start thinking about going to the hospital. My husband, on the other hand, he's like, no, this is not going to be like last time where we are up the whole night, basically. I'm going to get at least a couple hours of sleep. Like, let's go to bed. I was like, that's not going to work. Remember last time when we went to bed? That's when my water broke. But alas, we were gonna give it the old college try. Went and laid down, and I had 2 super strong like really strong, just like laying down, that like made me have these 2 very strong contractions. And I was like, get up. We're going to the hospital. And by the time we like changed clothes again and grabbed our bags and stuff, like I was like shaking. I was scared that I was in transition, honestly, because I thought that he was going to be such a fast labor already. Yeah, I was scared I was in transition, and I was scared that I was indeed going to have a baby in the car. So, and my mom was freaking out. She was like, oh my gosh, we waited too long. Like, she's never seen me like that. And so she was worried for sure. But it all worked out. So we get in the car and we're driving to the hospital, and we have to go through like the busiest intersection in our city, and it's shut down like 4 ways. Red lights, stopped, police have it blocked off. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me. I was like, you're gonna have to get out and tell them that I'm having a baby right now, and we cannot, like, they need to help us get through to the hospital. I was so, that just sent like a shot of adrenaline through me. I was so scared. But luckily we didn't have to even say anything. They like waved us through first. We were the first ones they waved through, thank God. But all the way up until that point, I was still having contractions pretty back to back, like 1 to 2 minutes in the car. And after that it stopped, and I was getting worried. And he's a very strong, active guy. Like he, at his 20-week ultrasound, was like kicking the probe, and the nurse was like, or the ultrasound technician, she's like, he's pretty strong for 20 weeks. So he's always been like, I've always was feeling a lot of strong movements. And after that like surge of adrenaline, he stopped moving, and the contractions stopped coming. And so then I got really worried. I was like, you got to get me there, like faster. We were really close, but faster. And so he got me there. He dropped me off at the front, and we have to go through an elevator. I get up there, and I'm just like contracting, like trying to get through my words of trying to check in. And yeah, I was like, I had a very fast labor last time. Like, I feel like he's coming, and you gotta we gotta hurry up. So they get me checked in pretty quickly, and the nurse checked me, and I was only like 5 centimeters and 80% of face, so like a good portion of the way, but I was not gonna have him that second. So we were able to get our tub room again. There's only 2 tub rooms at the hospital, but that really helped me the first time with managing pain and everything. So I definitely wanted that again. Got into the tub, and I started to feel a lot of pressure down low, and they don't allow us to do tub births. And so I told the nurse, because last time getting in the tub progressed me really quickly. So I told the nurse, I was like, I feel a lot of pressure. So you might want to check. I was only like a 6 to 7, but I was 90% effaced. She's like a good 90. So she was like, you're pretty close. You have a very bulging bag. So that's the pressure I was feeling. And she was like, we called the doctor to come in. Once she gets here, she can give you, like, she can rupture your membranes, and that'll get things moving really quickly. But since you have fast labors, let's not do that until she's actually in the building. And I was like, yeah, cool, that's fine. I don't know how long it took her to get there. It felt like forever. But once she got there, she did rupture my membranes. And up until that point, I had been like walking around, leaning over, a lot of movement, which felt a lot better. I didn't do that as much in my first labor, but the second labor I just kind of followed my body, and that felt really not good, but it helped. And so I had to get on the bed, obviously, and lay down so that she could rupture my membranes. I still had it in my mind, just like my first birth. I was like, I would like to try like hands and knees or something like that to give birth this time around. And they're like, yeah, cool, that's fine. So she ruptures my membranes, and he like, bang, slides, hits the cervix hard. And then those contractions again, I mean, they were already coming really fast, but they were way more intense and like back to back to back still. And at that point, it's like, I can't move, just like the first time. I was like, I can't move anymore. I'm staying here. Because they're like, we can help you. And I was like, no, nope, this is how it's going to be. So it was about 30 minutes until I got to 10 centimeters, which was funny because my doctor, my OB, she was like, oh yeah, once your water breaks, 30 minutes and he'll be here. And I was like, okay, that's kind of scary because I'm worried about having him in the car, and it takes a solid 20 minutes to get there. So, you know, if my water breaks at home, might have him in the parking lot if we're lucky. But anyway, she was totally right. So it took 30 minutes to get to 10 centimeters. And she said, oh, you have a lip of cervix left, but I'll just kind of like reach in and help it along, and it'll flatten out for you. And I was like, whatever, I don't care. let's push. And I think I said this in my last video, but I have a very strong fetal ejection reflex. And so that started happening. I was like, we're pushing. You don't have a choice at this point. So yeah, I started pushing, and I did a one good push, and I could like feel ring of fire, like I knew he was down there. And so I reached down to feel his head, because that really helped kind of motivate me the last time to know like he's right there, like just one more big push. And I didn't feel his head. And I think the doctor's like, what are you doing? And I was like, where is he? Like, where could he be? And she's like, he was out. He just went back in a little bit. One more good push, and you will get him out. And so yeah, I did another big push, and I don't really have to wait. By the time I'm pushing, my body's like basically contracting back to back to back. So I really don't have to wait for a contraction. I just kind of go for it. So I gave another big, strong push, and that got his head out. And then one more push, and his body came. And yeah, and he was screaming. He had a shorter cord, so he didn't get to come all the way up to my chest right away. He was on my belly though. And yeah, and then he nursed within like 5 minutes of being born, which I think is just like, you know, not being a first-time mom, I like knew exactly what to do. I mean, your instincts know what to do, but yeah, you just have a little more confidence, you know, not doing it first time around. So yeah, anyway, he nursed right away, and he was 8 pounds 2 ounces. He came at like 12:52. Yeah, 12:52. So his whole labor, like active labor, about 4 hours. So my labors are pretty short, but they get very intense. So but yeah, very blessed, very thankful that he was just a healthy guy, and he did come out pretty quickly overall, and he didn't make me have a baby in the car, which I'm also thankful for. So
right between these two. Right here.
Ready?
Good job.
yeah, I will post our third child, our second daughter, her birth story next. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. God bless. Bye.
Oh, that's a big yawn.
Hi.